David can do that.
Hey everybody, it's John Wolpert and the Baseline crew here. A big team today. Hope you're all seeing us and hearing us. We'll check that in a second.
Yep, it's all good.
I can hear us. All right. Yeah, it looks like we're up, and it's good to see everybody today. This is a special event. We'll be talking about the upcoming Technical Steering Committee elections. Sonal Patel will be talking about some of the projects that we saw at EthAtl and interviewing some of those teams and people. It was a very educational event, and it was very fun to be there in Atlanta with so many of the people you see here on the call. And in general, lots to talk about today. That's why we have so many people on. And Sonal, why don't you take it away?
All right, thank you, John. Okay, so we're gonna get right to it, and we'll save the end for any extra comments or conversations that people wanna have. But we'll start with the Technical Steering Committee. So as most of you know, the votes are in for the candidates that will be running for the Technical Steering Committee coming up. So first I'll give some context on the elections, and then we'll have some of the candidates who are here with us today give little introductions to give you an idea on who you may want to vote on. So just to begin, the Technical Steering Committee is accountable for the project governance board for bootstrapping the core developer group, stepping in to resolve any conflicts on merges or core developers self-organization. So everybody in the community who's interested in Baseline and supports the governance of decentralized communities should be interested in this, because it gives you a vote and a say in who some of our committee members will be, who will be driving the direction of Baseline moving forward. And on that note, in order to be an eligible voter, so in order to get a ballot and cast your vote on who should be part of the committee, we require that you submit a pull request, and it has to be merged. So I will take that on as my job. If any of you out there are submitting a pull request from now until next Wednesday, which is when the votes will open up, please message me on Slack, tag me in the PR on the GitHub repo. I will be on it to make sure it gets merged in time for you to have a vote. So the votes will take place next Wednesday. They will be open for 1 full week, allowing you to get to know the members and make a choice who has a voice. But those pull requests can be related to making any change within the repo. John, if you want to touch on that, you gave a really good spiel on that during the Core Dev meetup.
Sorry, I had to get over my window. Yeah, so I think that the important thing about being a core dev is that we have now, as of now, we have sort of a V1 of the base core implementation. We have a V1 of the standards doc. So now we're moving to a blip process. So don't correct me if this isn't where you want me to go with this. Yep.
Yes, and just mainly how contributing to the repo is not a time-consuming task in order to gain a vote.
Right.
It doesn't require too much.
Oh, yeah. So contributing to the repo does not have to be time-consuming. Right now, it's important that the important thing is that you get on what's called the ICLA. When you do a pull request, you'll click sign the ICLA. That's important for any standards body or open source organization that's serious. So you'll sign off on that, and that will do things like ensure that you are, who you are, and that you are confirming that your contributions are original and not, taken from someone else. So a certificate of originality, all that stuff. So when you do that, then you are a member of the team, and don't feel like you need to have some major contribution. I mean, literally a spell check will do for now, just to get you on the roll so that you're voting.
Yep. And we also have Chet from Oasis here with us today to make any extra comments about what the election process will be like. Chet, do you want to add anything?
Not yet. It's all good so far. Once we get into the details, I can help out. But
Chet, we did discuss on the PGB about 15 minutes ago that the time frame, which is we're going to start the voting next Wednesday and end the voting the Wednesday after that, right?
Right. So per the OASIS rules, electronic ballots have to remain open a minimum of 7 days. So what we will do is the ballot itself is going to be a Google spreadsheet with the eligible voters having editorial access to it, so that anyone who's eligible to vote can go to the spreadsheet and just go across and select up to 11 people to vote for on the TSC. So
we did discuss, Chet, and you weren't on the call, so I'm going to have to inform you in public here that it is important that that be done privately, and that the people that can't, only the OASIS vote counters are the ones seeing who's voting for whom.
Oh, so you guys did decide that?
That was decided by the PGB, or at least that was the strong recommendation of the PGB. There was not time to do a formal vote on that, but yeah.
Okay, well then that will make it easier, because we'll have what we'll
just
do
make
is
a form.
We'll send out a form in the announcement, and then it'll be send your votes back to Claudia, who will be the neutral third party collecting the votes. We'll start that process 1 week from today on the on the baseline show.
Yeah, the only person that should have access to that spreadsheet is me, so that I can make sure everything's done right. Just kidding. No, kidding.
So we will so we'll leave it open for the week, and then that way the following Wednesday we can have the ballot closed, the tally ready, so that we'll be able to announce the new TSC on the baseline show.
One thing on that, Chet, is and I don't, after today, I don't think we get to change the dates, because we've announced them, and it would be not fair to change the dates from there. So are you sure you want just 1 week from next Wednesday to the following Wednesday? Or should it be next Wednesday to the following Tuesday, so we have time to tally them before the show? Or do we, and that would break the rule.
Right.
So should it be the last Wednesday of the month? So should it be next Wednesday through the 2 Tuesdays from then?
Well, I believe it should be 2 weeks. By that, because of that, people also get to come to the India show, and they get to talk to the India community as well. Yeah, how about that?
I don't think we get to change it after today. So, but this is a matter for OASIS, Chet. This is not, nobody else, nobody on the TSC, and I certainly can't change these dates. If we could, then that wouldn't be fair. The OASIS body is the appropriate body to make the rule, to make the decision.
Well, again, the rules say a minimum of 7 days. No problem. If it would be the preference of the group to run it for 2 weeks, we'll run it for 2 weeks.
I think as a point of order, we weren't on the PGB, so we're gonna have to do this here. We cannot, it is not for us to determine what the rule is. It is for OASIS to tell us what the rule is. Right.
Okay. Well, then we'll
if I could tell you what my preference was, I could sway the way the voting was done. And I'm standing for election, so I'm probably not the person. It's kind of like being in Australia. Did you know in Australia, for some weird reason, the prime minister can set the date of the vote? Seems like maybe a prime minister wrote that rule.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Does anyone object to running a 14-day ballot?
A 13-day, right?
13-day ballot, rather. No? Okay, then that's what we'll do. We'll open it on Wednesday. We'll close it after 13 days. That way, the results will be ready by the last baseline show of the month.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Thank you guys for that. And now we have a handful of the candidates running.
So sorry, I'm sorry, Sanil. Let me just make one more point. part of the reason for getting the pull request, if you haven't done it already, in order to be eligible to vote, is once the ballot's opened, we don't add anyone unless they were eligible before the ballot opened. So you need to be eligible at the point where we open the ballot to be able to vote on it.
Thank you for reiterating that.
So say that again. So you have to be eligible to vote at the opening of the ballots, not by the close.
Correct. So if
people have to get their pull requests in by next Wednesday.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So if Sanal gets her pull request in Wednesday afternoon and the ballot has already started running, she won't qualify.
All right. Let's get to it, everybody. There were a whole bunch of really great developers at the hackathon. All of them deserve to be voters if they want to be. And so let's do a pull request approval party on Tuesday night before the election, so that everybody who wants to vote gets a chance to vote.
All right, thank you. So now we'll have some of our candidates who are here with us today briefly introduce themselves with a little intro about themselves, how they have contributed to the baseline project so far, and what they would like to achieve as a TSC member if they did get elected. So I'm just going to kind of go in the order of my screen. Andreas, if you'd like to kick us off, that'd be great.
Sure, if I can actually take myself off mute. And in the second attempt, I was successful.
That's all that's required for a TSC member.
That is exactly right. Can you take yourself off of mute? I did that. All right. Okay. Done. I'm done. No, but for those who don't know me, does anybody not know me? No, just kidding. My name is Dr. Andreas Freund. I am the blockchain Swiss Army knife because I do work across the entire stack from infrastructure all the way up to legal and regulatory questions. I have been involved with the baseline protocol since summer of last year, and have been driving together with Anais or Frank as the fearless leader and Kyle Thomas as the other editor, the writing of the baseline protocol standard, which has been ratified by the TSC and is now in front of the PGB for final ratification as a draft standard, and then hopefully as a final standard. I've also helped within the community as a technical resource. I've been working with John and a couple of others on some cool stuff with baseline and NFTs and how to do provable, authentic reproductions. So that's some fun stuff. So we didn't hack, but we did the hacking before the hackathon, and John did a really nice demo for those of you who haven't seen it. It's worth checking out. My focus is on scaling baseline protocol, so layer 2. To that effect, I'm actually working with the Ethereum Foundation to get an EA Oasis community group started around layer 2 standards, building on what has been done for the baseline protocol. Also, I'm working with 2 other standards bodies, the Mobility on the Blockchain Initiative and the Metro Ethernet Forum, to bring baseline to those industries. There is a standard within the Metro Ethernet Forum called MEF 114, which is an operational framework for DLT-based billing. And one of the implementation options that's described in that standard is in fact the baseline protocol, even though it's not named. But anybody who wants to check it out, do that. So this is, I'm planting the hooks to be able to proselytize baseline protocol, so to speak, across standards bodies and industries.
Awesome.
You'll
Thank you.
you'll have my vote, Andreas. Am I allowed to say
Thank
that?
you, Kyle.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
But then again,
I
I have to think.
I retract that statement
That was
Great,
fun.
thank you.
from the record.
Kyle, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm Kyle Thomas, founder of Provide, the reference implementation for the baseline protocol, the organizer of EthAtl, Provide, and what I've been working on is I would consider us to be sort of a big driver of real world adoption by way of Kona and ServiceNow, Splunk, and many others. And my plan, if elected, I was going to say, like, should you choose to accept it, like sort of Mission Impossible style. But my plan, should I be reelected, will be just simply to continue to drive the technology and the adoption, and to continue to participate in the standards process as it evolves, as well as the day-to-day core devs process. So it's been a lot of fun being a part of Baseline, and I intend to continue to be a part of Baseline. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Jack Waring, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Weering. It's funny that I have to fight against the Swiss knife, so I will call myself the Dutch windmill. No, just kidding. I'm working for Unibright, and I'm running the office in the Benelux. Yeah, I think everyone understands that the visibility of the baseline protocol on social media is also really important. We have some great people, John, Samrat, others, and who are already on the forefront for the baseline community. I'm more the guy in the background, making connections and making sure all those great things that are being done are properly distributed on all the channels, and helping with that. I was there from the start when John asked me if I could help him with that, to do the Twitter, LinkedIn, and all the other channels. Furthermore, I believe that we can achieve a lot of more in the future, also in Europe, for example, with INATBA, the EU part of the blockchain world in the EU. Yeah, and I would really like to help more as I'm doing now in the TSC if needed. I understand there are a lot of great technical people who are already involved, but when I can be part of it, that's fine. And otherwise, I would just stay what I'm doing. So no problem with that.
Thank you. And David, up next.
Hey guys, I'm David Jones. I lead product here at Provide along with Kyle Thomas. Let's see, I've been involved with the baseline protocol since summer of 2020. Actually with a different company at that time. Not many of us at Baseline that have been through two different companies, but stayed involved with Baseline. I'm the chief author of the Baseline API spec. I co-authored the current version of the documentation. I recently put out the battle line prototype. And going forward, I think Baseline really needs more educational materials, tangible examples, illustrative real world use cases, things like that. And that's what I'd really like to focus on. Really help drive adoption and just general understanding.
Thank you. And Louise.
Hi, so my name is Luis. I'm from Brazil and I'm a software developer. I'm working as a solid developer since 2017, and I have also experience with JavaScript and other programming languages. And 3 months ago, I had the opportunity to work on a Baseline grant where me and Boris Breslav, another Baseline community member, developed a ZKP circuit for bonds, and where I was able to learn more about secrets, zero knowledge proof, and baseline. So with my software developer experience and my experience that I had while I was developing this secret with bodies, I think I can contribute and help baseline community.
Thank you.
Louise,
And Mark,
have you seen that in the provide privacy repo? I'll actually ping you right now.
Okay, I'll check it. Thanks.
Cool. And Mark Hattel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Hattel. No stranger to the baseline community. I started getting involved in May of 2020, I believe it was. Within my career, I've largely been, my roles have been at the intersection of the technical and business domains, communicating managing the communication between the two different domains, managing the personalities, the egos, the expectations, all of that. So part diplomat, part air traffic controller, part camp counselor, and sometimes part assassin. I've been, ever present on a lot of these live stream sessions, and I have been heavily contributing to a lot of the go-to-market and sales collateral, focusing on really what do we want our audiences to hear, not so much as what we want to say. We're all the true believers and we know what we want to say. We just need to get the other people actually engaged and wanting to take action with their baseline projects. I'm a veteran of several well-meaning but ultimately not successful blockchain projects, to where basically we were not able to really cover that last mile, run into problem with scaling and then even appropriateness. What we want to do is we want to demonstrate that our solution can outperform the current service and do so cost effectively. And that was just kind of a nugget that we weren't able to actually capture within blockchain. So baseline does not present really many of the same problems that I was staring in the face before we ultimately had to really shift away from certain implementations like Hyperledger Fabric and others, and to where instead of actually trying to do that entire undertaking, why not just baseline? So what my plans are for the future is basically evangelizing it, maintaining that the business and technical objectives are aligned, and moving everyone forward to that ultimate path to success.
Thank you, Mark. Samrat.
Thanks, Donald. So I think most of you know me, but thank you so much for all the love that I've been having on the Baseline Show India. So I joined the Baseline community in June of last year, having a exciting time, actually the time of my life. I belong to a technology strategy consulting background. Used to work with Big Fours, KPMG, Deloitte, and Accenture Strategy, and then I took the entrepreneurial route. I started my own company as well as invested in 4 startups. So that's where I landed upon Baseline, and it just seemed the right solution for one of the products that we're building. So that's how I got involved, and I just see the community growing and the kind of firepower that has gone behind this initiative. It's definitely got a future. So I'm supremely involved now. I'm running the India community since July of this year. I've been conducting the Baseline Show in India every Saturday at 6 p.m. We have a fantastic lineup of speakers as well, including this week's speaker, 35 years plus experience in supply chain industry. So all of that aside, I think what I have in front of me, if I get reelected, number one, getting sponsors. I think what was important was people were sitting and waiting on the sidelines. They need to jump in, and when they jump in, they need to commit to things like go to market, So that is something of which I wish to drive. Contributing to cybersecurity and GDPR initiatives, that is something which I wish to drive. That has been part of my past career. I used to be an IT risk auditor when I started off. So I can contribute to adoption of the standard and translating some of its requirements in terms of cybersecurity and GDPR. So that's on that's on the future, and of course retaining contributors to the initiative. I think that's also extremely important. Once we have that curve, once we've reached that curve where we have made a lot of noise and people have joined us, we also need to retain the guys. So yeah, I think I see these three things in front of me, and I'm glad to be in the company of fantastic folks. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Samrat. And next up, Stefan.
Yeah, thank you very much. Stefan Schmidt from Unibright, German blockchain integration company. Yeah, we joined Baseline as a founding member. Before that, I was leader of the EEA integration task force, and in the very beginning took care of that the results of that task force were properly brought into building the Baseline protocol. And since then, I've been part of the TSC, which was very interesting and a lot of fun. And besides contributing, I always try to learn as well, which is totally possible within the Baseline space. There are brilliant minds there, so it's very good. It feels very good to be part of that community. Yeah, and since then, Unibright and also personally me contributed to Baseline by generating leads and potential clients, building enterprise-grade integration tools for Baseline, for example, like the recently SAP-certified ConUBC connector together with Concircle. We built BaseLedger, of course, and we are developing it parallel to the standard to ensure consistency on both the, let's say, protocol level and the product level that potential clients out there in the world use to make use of the Baseline patterns. And of course, this Baseline pattern needs to be explained a lot still. I mean, Samrat and also Mark mentioned that before. So that's I also see that as part of my job to explain the Baseline pattern and the need for decentralized synchronization. And I did so on conferences, on German universities, and of course on our publications. Yeah, my personal feeling is that next year will be the year of Baseline adoption, and I want to actively contribute to that with continuing my work in the TSC. So far, so good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And next up, Anand.
Yeah, thank you. So I had the same issue with my mute button, I guess. So I'm fairly new to the Baseline community. I think I've talked so far mostly with John on some occasions. I'm the founder of Siberium, which is a project to build a project governance platform based on blockchain. We have several synergies with the Baseline protocol. We use a similar way of mainnetting the transactions in a project network. We call it, we used to call it an archive blockchain, but I think mainnet sounds a lot cooler. And we are in the enterprise space as well, but we are in a somewhat related but distinct sector, which is the project sector. Projects are characterized, especially EPC projects, by groups of organizations that come together to create value. And we are creating a method where projects can be self-regulating and project networks can be autonomous organizations. So the main reason I got connected with the Baseline protocol was the synergies when I found the work that was being done. So I do want to be a bigger part of the Baseline community. But in terms of the TSC, the contributions that I can make is ensuring commonalities between our projects and what Baseline is doing, and also to have a greater commonality of standards as we, because coming from an engineering background, one of the key things I think, for making blockchain in the enterprise space more more compelling is to have standards that can common standards across a bunch of use cases that industry can relate to. So that's something that I really want to contribute to. And also, like I said, the work that we're doing in the realm of projects, projects are a multi-trillion-dollar sector, and they have several unique characteristics. So I want to have, build the synergies and commonalities and standards between our work and what Baseline is doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And next up, Karthik.
Hello, everyone. This is Karthik Solapuram. I've been a part of Baseline ever since before Baseline was formed, worked closely with John Walpert, Paul Rohde, York Rhodes, and a bunch of others to launch the Baseline protocol. So in effect, I'm one of the founding members and the founding technical architect behind the Baseline protocols launch. Established the initial form of the privacy architecture for the ZK SNARK and zero knowledge framework for navigating across multiple privacy providers, worked on the initial parts of privacy architecture along with Kyle. Have experience across different privacy providers with Zaquity, Snark, Snark.js, and others. In addition, at the beginning of the protocol launch, we did receive a bunch of security concerns from the open source community, fixed some of the critical security bugs with the shield and verifier contracts. And in the pre-launch of the base ledger, we designed the protocol for bridging and presented that to some of the Core EF Foundation members, including Vitalik. My goal as TSC member is to drive adoption of the Baseline protocol, bring more up and coming encryption standards and signature verification mechanisms, such as homomorphic encryption, BLS signatures, and also new and upcoming privacy architectures around accumulators, Plonk, ZK rollups, and so on. Because of my experience in smart contract security and expertise in the architectures in general, will be continuing to contribute to the smart contract and ledger security. I also am a part of several standard committees along with Andreas, and with the spearheading done by Andreas, we'll be looking to promote and adopt the Baseline protocol and standards across the Ethereum Foundation and the Enterprise Ethereum community. And lastly, with the advent of DAOs and decentralized autonomous organizations, would like to see how, as a ledger, as a new protocol, we can bring in the impact of DAOs and how we can provide a baseline for DAOs as well. Happy to be here and looking forward to be a part of the community.
Thank you, Karthik. And
Karthik, you got my, oh wait, I can't say that.
All right, and I think we only have one more left. So last but not least, John Wolpert.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Wolpert. I'm the current Technical Steering Committee Chair and have been since the beginning. I should probably preface this by saying whatever happens with the vote and the chair position, I have the luxury and privilege and good fortune to work for Joe Lubin, who has prioritized this work and allows me to spend most of my time on baselining. So that doesn't change regardless of the vote. I think that's important for folks to know. So please pick your favorite candidate for TSCs and also for the chair, and know that it won't change how I do my day job. I think the smartest thing I did over last year was have the good wisdom to hire Sonal Patel and prioritize the work with Sonal to focus on baselining and really upping our operational integrity. Sonal's job is operational integrity officer, so I'm very proud to have made that decision and to have seen it started to work out so well. My objective in what we need to achieve next year is to build a strong core devs team around our Blip process and accelerate the maturity of open source implementations, tools, enablement materials like docs, accelerate deal flow for sponsors and other contributors. So, I mean, this is the time to start really accumulating deal flow. We've got a proposal in to have a get baseline campaign that that will allow people to select sponsors to that wish to be part of or to respond to inbound inquiry, so that we can start generating deal flow for companies that are stepping up. So I guess my campaign slogan is: ask not only what baselining can do for you, but what you can do for baselining. And that is probably, as silly as it might sound, is actually quite apt. I think that is what we all have to be focused on: is what can we do to pitch in, and how can we improve the process of working as a team to deliver high quality standards and open source systems.
All right, thank you. And is there anybody on the call who I missed who's a TSC candidate?
You have my vote, Sean.
All right, I think that wraps up the TSC section. We will continue posting details on the Baseline Protocol website. Be in touch in Slack if there's any questions. And this panel should show you why it's important to vote. We have a ton of very qualified members running, and it's up to you guys to decide who becomes the official TSC members coming up. And I'm going to segue over now to the next segment, where we're going to do a little reflection on the EthAtl Hackathon. So if many of you know, or hopefully followed, EthAtl took place this weekend, and we had a wide range of reputable speakers in the blockchain and enterprise space. But we have two, possibly one hackathon team right now joining us to do a quick little Q&A and share on their experience. So first, I'll introduce the first place hackathon winner, a team of 3 full-time developers at a large company that they will disclose up to their discretion. And the project concept was removing the need for third parties verification of written digital signatures. So I'll hand it over to you to introduce yourselves first.
Hey everybody, my name's Mark Rimza. I'm a lead software engineer at General Motors, and in school I got degrees in information systems and international business. I'm basically a crypto enthusiast that's now a blockchain development enthusiast. And it's great seeing everybody from EthAtl on the call. Had a great time with you guys, and it's great to be here with my team, and thank you for having me.
Hey everyone, I'm Keith Salzman. I have a comp sci degree. I'm a software developer engineer at General Motors. Bleeding edge tech, math, cryptography, any game-changing innovation. It's what I love, and Baseline really eloquently combines all those passions. So I'm just really happy to be here with all these Baseline giants, and of course my wonderful hackathon team.
Hello, everybody. My name is Yoav Bitan. I graduated with a degree in computer science, and I'm also a software development engineer at General Motors. So I've been interested in crypto and blockchain technology for a while now. I actually bought into Ethereum at around $90, and I spent all my days just watching its price, so excited to watch it go up. And I couldn't believe when I over doubled the money that I put in the day that it hit $200. I was so excited that I celebrated by losing it all in one sitting, sports betting and playing blackjack. So at the time for me, it was just a currency. But as I learned more about blockchain and where it can go and its utility, started to learn that I really want to dive into the technical aspect and learn as much as I can about it.
Great, thank you guys for joining us. I'll ask some questions to gauge how your experience was at EthAtl. So what motivated you guys as a team of full-time developers to attend and join the hackathon?
Yeah, I can take this one. So personally for me, I've been interested in crypto and blockchain, like I said, for quite a long time. And I thought this event would be a great place to talk to industry leaders and learn as much as we could from them. And so the first thing that we did when we heard about this event was we checked the keynote speakers lineup. And we felt that there were so many smart and talented speakers that we could just learn so much from. And we were just excited to speak with them in person and get the opportunity to hear directly from them and ask questions and kind of be involved. And we also all agreed that the blockchain space is on the forefront of technology. And we thought this would be a great opportunity to get involved in that technology. We figured the best way to learn the stack is to just jump right into it and build something through the hackathon, especially since we could be assisted by the people who created the stack, getting help directly from Kyle, for example.
Awesome. And what was your impression of the attendees at the conference, and what was the overall attitude of the attendees in the atmosphere?
So I think we saw a lot of, highly motivated and determined people building a lot of great things at the hackathon. Most of the people that I met were either in the space for a while, for at least 3 years, or they were people who really realized that blockchain's one of the next great things, and they're, diving headfirst into it. I met people who were, on their own dime, flying out to be with people at the conference, people who are developing in their free time outside of their job to get involved with blockchain, even college students who, went across the country just to meet and connect with people at this conference. So the atmosphere was great. It was full of highly motivated, highly intelligent, driven people who want to spread the adoption of blockchain, specifically enterprise blockchain and, baseline. And it was refreshing to be around all those people, people who are interested in the design, the architecture, the implementation, rather than just pumping token prices. So, conference was great. Atmosphere was incredible.
Thanks for that feedback.
What was it like coming up with the use case for your project?
So once we really wrapped our minds kind of around the core ideas and the protocols of baseline DKPs and like general architecture examples made available to us, we began brainstorming with this question of, what type of secret or sensitive information do we want to protect essentially with the ZKPs at our foundation? And at this point, it was just really clear that the use cases are just so infinite and kind of beyond the scope of our collective imaginations that we had to consider narrowing the set with different questions. So, after coming up with tons of ideas, we then asked the questions of, which of these pieces of data protection kind of would have the greatest effect and kind of the largest amount of parties involved, and which of them could we reasonably do within the time frame that we were given. And that's kind of when we settled on baselining digital signatures, of course, with input from various again baseline giants involved. So our idea was essentially create this temporary reusable tokenized version of a digital signature that would require some refresh after a given period of time, say 30 days or less. And that would stand in as a proof someone's legal signature without communicating that data and eliminating the need for verification of third parties. And we ran with it.
Awesome. And piggybacking off of that, what was the biggest challenge that you guys encountered and overcame at the conference working on your project?
I think the hardest challenge by far for us was, applying zero knowledge proofs by, designing our own custom circuit, just because it's so new to us. And it's very clear after working on it for a little bit that there are, many ways to prove zero knowledge, which, really highlighted how impressive the Provide and Baseline stack are with what their capabilities truly can be. In the hackathon, we tried to design a custom ZK circuit for our written digital signature, but with the time constraints and how new the concept was to us, we weren't really able to convert it into code. But it was definitely a fun challenge and something that we definitely want to dive deeper into.
Awesome. And what other possible implementations of baselining did your time at the hackathon reveal?
Yeah, so we were thinking about situations where two parties don't trust each other, of course, and we thought of different scenarios in a casino setting. So the one that we explored the most was the automatic card shuffling machines that a lot of casinos in Vegas use in their tables. And many people avoid playing at these tables because they don't trust the machine to be shuffling the deck fairly, especially if they've had bad luck at one of these tables. So we thought that this could be alleviated by a proof that would guarantee to the player the fairness of the deck without revealing any information that would give them any sort of advantage in the game that they were playing. And the widespread use of this is that it could be sold to any casino that you really just want nothing more than for people to be playing and gambling on their floor. Some other ideas we were thinking about.
Hopefully not with Ether though.
No, of course not. I'm over that now. I'm hodling. But yeah, another idea we were thinking about was tokenizing identification documents, things like birth certificates and passports. And the idea there would be to eliminate bad actors and prevent forgery or identity theft. And another thing was to pass credentials through to websites without having to pass through any private data, like logging in to Facebook or Twitter, for example. This would guarantee to the user that Facebook wouldn't have access to any of the data about their login, but the website would still have the confidence that the person who logged in is who they claim to be.
Cool. And last of my questions is, what would you have done if you had more time to work on your project?
Many things. I think the first one would have been to switch to the shuffling, baselining with the cards, hammer it out to enterprise level, sell it to Vegas, and retire on a sandy beach somewhere. But we didn't do that. So I guess really with our digital signatures, we really wanted to, get that custom circuit out. The ZK circuit, it was just too much time constraints to hammer that out and put it into code. Or even using one of the default circuits that we could fully integrate our UI with the AP calls to emulate that provider verifier counterparties actions visually, either through UI or even to implement in the CLI for like a POC instead of having to kind of go through it manually and show the steps we did. That would have been really nice. I think the last thing is maybe create like a counter circuit for the verifier, improving that a document has been digitally signed, possibly some kind of like ZK rollup of the proof of the signer and the signed document. We threw around a lot of ideas, but we just, had to focus on getting our original POC worked through.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anybody in the call have any questions for our hackathon team?
I know that
So
we
what
had. Oh, go ahead, Andrea.
So, what was from what you had available to use? What was sort of like the good, the bad, and the ugly? That would be, because that's really valuable to figure out what to focus on. Also from a core dev point of view, right? It's like end consumer feedback is the best way how to build product.
So I think for me personally, kind of the ugly is, I'm familiar with like ZKPs, but not with any of the implementation of baseline. So having to kind of sort through all the docs and build things together kind of one by one, was really helpful in learning, but it would be nice, and it may exist out there, if there was like an example architectural doc that really broke things down for the first time user to say, okay, I can see the flow of this thing. I get what each part should be doing. Now let me inspect each part down to a detail. So that for me was kind of like the bad ugly, but. Yeah.
Would you have wanted to have an SDK?
I think so, yeah.
What do you mean by that? That was for Andreas, sorry.
I really don't have the technical expertise to answer that question in depth.
My question was for Andreas.
Oh, okay.
An SDK.
Yeah, it's always the best if you have something up and running that people can hammer against, because then they can try things out quickly.
Have you heard of Provide?
Other than the fact that Provide is the answer to all things, and
right, of course.
And what is the question? which is something I tease Kyle about a lot.
But in seriousness, though, the
I've
question,
never heard Provide referred to as an SDK.
If I mean, it sort of is though. That's where my confusion was. Sorry.
It also will scramble your eggs, and
if you want it to, and it'll do it under zero knowledge. I mean, what more could you want?
Can it get all the weeds out of my lawn?
I can prove that my eggs are green,
perhaps,
but not show that they are green eggs.
That's right.
So I can, it's like we can do this another time, but there's it's really the way that I would like to see it is you do npmi baseline package in a Node.js project that you started, and then you do a require, and that's it. And you now have all the SDKs. You can connect to a network that's just running for that is maintained by the community, and you can start investigating the SDK. And if you want to go to lower level SDK, you can do that because the code's available. That kind of stuff is what I would like to see. Great examples are out there. For example, in diff, Juan can actually talk to that a lot more because he's like living, breathing diff all the time. He's a great guy, by the way.
Oh, hey, Juan Coyera. Hey, nice to see you, man.
Love him to death, even though right now he's doing something patently illegal in DC. And no, he's not storming the.
He is an SDK.
So no, but that's like, it's like there's some really, examples of like some simple tooling where people can get started, even like a knob like me.
If I can
you are a noob.
So I mean, Mark and Keith and there were some other folks. Most of the teams that we were talking with, and so I'll talk to each one of them individually. Did find that they were they did have a bit of trouble figuring out the kind of the front door of getting into the some of the parts of the provide stack and base ledgering. Right. I know that we got through the tree trunk demo by not trying to engage that, right? We just threw proofs out and we said, oh, we'll put them on base ledger, in round 2. And that's how we got there. So, I mean, let's talk frankly about where you would find, where did you get stuck? And not just in general on ZK, but I mean, like you had a bunch of packages. Which packages confused you? Where did you know where to start? Were there any places in the docs that you found you got you stumbled over?
So we started. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. I was just gonna say we found ourselves in a scenario where I was using sort of a older Windows machine, which found itself with some issues with Docker specifically, and we kind of ran into an edge case in the stack where my not being able to process things kind of broke our entire workspace. But the good news there was that it was able to be patched and fixed pretty quickly, and we kind of moved straight through that issue. And go ahead.
Where did you find yourself confused, aside from not knowing which zero knowledge circuit you might use?
I think that again, once we wrapped our head around just kind of the basic idea, after day one, and then we worked out the example with the provide stack with messaging and everything. We were confused at the level of implementation that we needed for the hackathon, right? That we wanted our own custom ZK circuit. What was this necessary? And then it was made aware to us. So there are kind of some default circuits we could have relied on to go through that. We eventually got stopped at the very last step, trying to make use of the provide privacy's verification call. So we created the proof, and then the verification call with a witness and a proof. We were getting like 500 internal server errors. So at each step, we had to keep coming back to the docs and everything and asking questions. But yeah, I think we got stuck a little bit at each step, just trying to figure out exactly how to implement it, but we slowly made it through. And to answer Andrea's question, yeah, I mean, and Provide was great in helping us understand things. I think just as traditional software developers at like GM, we're more used to kind of SDKs, and that threw in just an extra obstacle for us, particularly in my experience.
Thank you. And we also have Chad and Tyler from one of the other hackathon groups. Did you guys want to give any feedback on where you guys found yourselves stuck at all?
Yeah, sure. Hey guys. So we kind of just jumped directly into base ledger core. We found the entropy problem interesting, so we thought we'd try to tackle it. And I think at first, just like spinning up the entire stack, so just using the CLI to create a network, deploy contract, is like a bit of a bespoke solution. So I guess like from traditional like Solidity development, you can just deploy to like Ringbee and then you can talk to the contract. With Provide, it's a little bit different. So we ran into some issues there. Kyle was super helpful, and I think we're still in collaboration to get our PR in. But yeah, besides that, it was fun, a lot of fun, great experience.
Awesome. Thank you to the hackathon participants who submitted projects and joined us in person, as well as those who joined virtually. And thank you guys for joining in today to provide some feedback. And with that, I will just quickly wrap up by saying that our official baseline core devs kickoff will take place on Monday, October 11th. Invites will be sent out very shortly. You can sign up on the Sign Up Genius, which we will post a link to, which can be found through the baseline website. So please join us. We will make sure you are welcomed, included, and given the right information on what it entails to be a core dev. And also get your pull requests in to obtain a vote in the TSC elections next week. And with that, if nobody has anything else, I think I'll wrap us up by just saying thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining the audience. This is a very useful session for everybody.
I do have one thing to add about or clarification to make around the SDKs and sort of the complexity of baseline in general. Excuse me. Not COVID from Atlanta, I promise.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So baseline is a complex beast. And it is so in such that you have to have more than one party to baseline anything. And so when you npm install a package, that's one party npm installing a package. When you have a second party npm install a package, there's got to be some sort of utility around that action to connect those two parties to a work group. So having an SDK by itself is not enough. You must have the SDK and you must have the infrastructure to send messages and to actually join these work groups together. And so that is why the CLI, the Provide CLI, is sort of the entry point or the door into the protocol. I think
it's the first entry point, right?
Yeah.
Presuming others will attempt to do the same thing. But yeah.
That aside, it's the entry point into the protocol as of today. That's the easiest way to do it. And the idea is perhaps it would make sense if the quick start guide walked through the entry point into creating and joining a work group with other parties, and then showed how to use an SDK to interact with that work group. Because that is ideally that is sort of what our goal is at Provide is to create the easy button, meaning the easy way to create and set up the infrastructure, and then to write code that uses that infrastructure. So that's my clarification around the SDK and the complexity of all of it. Great feedback though. Thanks a lot for the kind words.
Thanks, Kyle. And perhaps our new watchword is not boring is the new exciting, but in every day in every way, we're getting easier and easier to baseline. How's that?
We're getting more and more boring, hopefully.
Easy is the new exciting. Is that anyway? Right on.
Easy is the new boring.
Well, with that, Sonal, are you releasing us to our own recognizance?
Yes, get back to work.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you next week on Baseline.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yes.